Oops, whether it's simply a bad fit, overpaying for a player, or a veteran whose performance has plummeted far sooner than expected, mistakes made in 2017 off-season personnel acquisitions have started manifesting themselves just 2 weeks into the 2017 regular season. Some general managers have already parted ways with players who simply didn't work out, while others have their fingers crossed hoping the lack of early returns stems more from growing pains in new surroundings. More Week 3 NFL Power Rankings. Here are the top 10 talent decisions that have raised this question. What were they thinking? 1. Chicago Bears QB Mike Glennon. How acquired free agency. Tampa Bay. What were they thinking? Chicago was in need of a veteran quarterback after releasing Jay Cutler, and while officially tendering a 3-year, $45 million contract last March, this has essentially become a 1-year, $16 million deal for Glennon after the Bears drafted Mitchell Trubisky with the number 2 overall pick. Even so, the Bears grossly overpaid for a player who wasn't going to command that lofty salary from even the most QB-starved franchise in free agency. Glennon, who was demoralized after the Trubisky selection, hasn't proven worth the cash so far, either, although injuries at wide receiver, running back and along the offensive line have equally contributed to Chicago's 0-2 start. Outlook. Despite committing 3 turnovers in Sunday's 297 loss at Tampa Bay, embattled coach John Fox is sticking with Glennon as his starter entering Week 3's home game against Pittsburgh. But should the Bears keep losing, and there's scant reason to believe they won't, getting Trubisky playing time to prepare him for 2018 becomes paramount, even if Fox and general manager Ryan Pace won't necessarily be around to see it firsthand. Steel Bears QB disaster was inevitable too. New Orleans Saints RB Adrian Peterson. How acquired free agency. Minnesota. What were they thinking? This pairing made little sense when Peterson surprisingly signed before the draft. It looks even worse now. Peterson, who proclaimed last week that he didn't sign up for 9 snaps like in the opener against Minnesota, should have known his role would be limited and the days as a 20-plus carry running back were over at age 32. Peterson has become a third-string option behind Mark Ingram and rookie Alvin Kamara, both of whom are far better in the passing game. If coach Sean Payton had a specific plan to utilize Peterson effectively, he hasn't shown it yet. Peterson has 14 carries for 44 yards in 2 games. Not that Payton should be blamed other than for signing off on the acquisition. Peterson looks like a pedestrian rusher at best compared to his Hall of Fame-worthy prime. Outlook. As I wrote last week, Peterson should strongly consider immediate retirement or encourage a parting of the ways rather than letting his frustration build weekly on the Saints sideline. 3. Cleveland Browns wide receiver Kenny Britt. How acquired free agency. Los Angeles Rams. What were they thinking when they couldn't agree on a price to resign Terrell Pryor? The Browns instead turned to Britt with a 4-year, $32.5 million contract that included $10.5 million guaranteed. So far, that cash has purchased the Browns almost as many drops from Britt 1 as catches 2. Outlook. In his defense, Britt is playing with a rookie quarterback and trying to master a new offensive system. He better get up to speed quick, as the Browns need Britt to pick up the slack left by the absence of fellow wideout Corey Coleman, who is out for an extended period of time following surgery to repair a broken hand. 4. Denver Broncos former Browns quarterback Brock Osweiler. How acquired. Houston traded Osweiler and 2 draft picks, 2017 6th-rounder and 2018 2nd-rounder, to Cleveland for Osweiler and a 2017 4th-round selection. What were they thinking? The main purpose for the Browns wasn't upgrading their traditionally weak quarterbacking. It was acquiring an extra second-round choice even at the cost of having to assume Osweiler's 2017 guaranteed base salary of $16 million. Nobody knows whether that pick will pan out. But we do know that, by keeping Osweiler through the final preseason cuts rather than releasing him following the second-round drafting of DeShone Kizer, the Browns took away valuable practice and exhibition game reps from their younger quarterbacks who have more upside. The Browns also are on the hook for $15 million plus after being unable to find a trade partner willing to assume some of Osweiler's salary. Outlook. Osweiler returned to Denver in a backup role at a minimum $775,000 salary. The Browns have played 2 quarterbacks, Kizer and backup Kevin Hogan, who have combined for an NFL high 5 interceptions in Cleveland's 0-2 start. 5. New York Giants wide receiver Brandon Marshall. How acquired free agency New York Jets. What were they thinking by signing him to a 2-year, $11 million contract? The Giants hope Marshall could not only complement Odell Beckham Jr. at wide receiver but also serve as a mentor. While the latter is still possible, Marshall has produced only 2 catches as Beckham missed the opener and was limited in Monday night's home loss to Detroit because of a high ankle sprain. Marshall has displayed little chemistry with quarterback Eli Manning, and he cost New York's sputtering offense dearly with a third-down drop against the Lions. Detroit returned the subsequent punt for a touchdown. Outlook. Marshall blames his slow start on trying to learn a new offense and new teammates. Fair enough, but Marshall better get up to speed before he gets benched. 6. Free agent tackle Brandon Albert. How acquired Miami traded Albert to Jacksonville for a 2018 7th-round choice. What were they thinking? Solidifying the left tackle spot with a proven starter like Albert made sense. The Jaguars, though, didn't take into account that Albert has a quirky personality and was seeking a pay raise that wasn't forthcoming. Albert announced his retirement, returned and then left again during training camp before he was cut. Outlook. Albert could be pursued by a tackle-needy team later in the season. Jacksonville is now forced to play 2017 second-round pick Cam Robinson before he is truly ready to start rather than have him learn behind Albert. The only good news for the Jaguars, they get to keep the 7th-round pick. 7. San Francisco 49ers fullback Kyle Juszczyk. How acquired free agency Baltimore. What were they thinking? Maybe new 49ers general manager John Lynch convinced coach Kyle Shanahan that San Francisco was getting the second coming of Mike Allstott when they decided to make Juszczyk the highest paid fullback in NFL history. 4-year, $20.5 million contract with $10 million guaranteed. Juszczyk and Allstott have logged almost the same number of touches through 2 games, and the latter retired a decade ago. Juszczyk has 1 carry and 2 receptions, even with quarterback Brian Hoyer desperately needing weapons to lift an offense that hasn't scored a touchdown this season. Outlook. The 49ers will inevitably give Juszczyk more opportunities. But it's hard to blame Shanahan for riding with Carlos Hyde, who is coming off a 124-yard rushing performance against Seattle's fiery defense. 8. Seattle Seahawks running back Eddie Lacy. How acquired free agency Green Bay. What were they thinking? The Seahawks believed Lacy would drop weight. Incentive clauses were included in his 1-year, $5.5 million contract, and regain the form that made him a 1,000-yard rusher in 2013 and 14. But while he looks thinner, Lacy failed to impress enough during the preseason to claim a starting spot. He was even declared inactive last Sunday with Seattle instead playing Thomas Rawls, C.J. Prozis and rookie Chris Carson. Outlook. The Seahawks saved $62,500 in per-game roster bonus by keeping Lacy inactive, which could lead to him remaining on the sideline barring injury to another running back. Lacy's release or a trade isn't completely out of the question, either. 9. The Philadelphia Eagles running back LeGarrette Blount. How acquired free agency New England. What were they thinking? Despite his coming off a career season with 1,161 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns, maybe the Patriots knew something when not making a big push to resign Blount during the offseason. No other team did, either, until Philadelphia inked him to a 1-year, $1.25 million deal in mid-May. Blount struggled in the preseason and didn't show enough in the opener against Washington. 14 rushes for 46 yards to receive a single carry in last Sunday's loss at Kansas City. Outlook. Eagles coach Doug Peterson said Monday that all 4 of his running backs, Blount, Darren Sproles, Wendell Smallwood and Corey Clement, have a game-specific role. Even so, Blount needs to get on a roll, possibly as a short yardage back to stay in the rotation. More which 2 teams can rebound. 10. New York Jets outside linebacker Coney Ely. How acquired Carolina traded Ely and a 3rd-round pick for New England's 2nd-round selection. What were they thinking? Rather than wait to develop draft picks on a Super Bowl-primed roster, the Patriots dealt some selections elsewhere to acquire now veterans in Ely, wide receiver Brandon Cooks New Orleans and tight end Dwayne Allen Indianapolis. Ely is the only one that flopped. While Bill Belichick never specified publicly why Ely didn't pan out, it's believed his preseason release stemmed from his failure to learn multiple positions across New England's defensive line. The Patriots' inability to get any trade takers for Ely also reflects how far his stock has dropped since he tallied 3 sacks for Carolina in Super Bowl 50. Outlook Ely was claimed off waivers by the Jets, who are deploying him as an outside pass rusher. Alex Marvez can be heard from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. ET Tuesday and 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. ET Wednesday on SiriusXM NFL Radio.